Are you sitting down? Because once I tell you what happened at this family lunch in Australia, you might just lose your appetite. 4 people sat around a table for what should have been a warm, homemade meal. Beef Wellington. Within days, 3 of them were dead. 1 clung to life in the ICU. And the woman who made the dish, she says it was all an accident. But the deeper you dig into this case, the harder it is to believe this was just a culinary mistake. This isn't just about food. It's about secrets. It's about lies. It's about death caps, deceit, and a dish that turned deadly. So, who really is Erin Patterson, the woman now known around the world as the Mushroom Cook? Was she an unlucky host or a cold-blooded killer? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a whole new perspective on what really went down at that lunch. Let's get into it. July 29th, 2023. A quiet, almost sleepy town called Leongatha in Victoria, Australia. Picture rolling hills, modest homes, and a tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone. Nothing ever really happens here, until it does. Erin Patterson, a 49-year-old woman, invites her former in-laws over for lunch. Don and Gail Patterson, both 70. Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, 66. And Heather's husband, Ian, 68. 4 guests, 1 host, 1 dish. Beef Wellington. It sounds fancy, but it's basically a steak wrapped in puff pastry with a mushroom spread called douzel. Nothing exotic, nothing you'd expect to kill someone, and yet, something in that meal did. Erin's ex-husband, Simon Patterson, was also invited, but he decided not to come. He hasn't said much about why. Maybe it was a gut feeling. Maybe it was just another uncomfortable family get-together. Either way, his absence may have saved his life. The next day, all 4 guests are hospitalized. At first, doctors thought it was food poisoning, but the symptoms kept escalating: vomiting, diarrhea, confusion, then liver and kidney failure. Within a week, Don, Gail, and Heather were all dead. Only Ian survived, barely. He was in critical condition for weeks. At one point, people weren't sure if he'd make it, but somehow he pulled through. When he finally left the hospital, it was headline news. And Erin? She went to the hospital too, but only briefly. Some stomach cramps, some diarrhea, then back home. She told police she got sick too, but people couldn't help but notice. Her illness didn't seem nearly as serious. And that opened a floodgate of questions. Police began investigating. The spotlight turned directly on Erin Patterson. You see, what makes this case so chilling is that it doesn't fit the usual crime story. This wasn't a masked stranger in the night. This was lunch, with family. The kind of thing that happens a million times a day all around the world. But instead of memories and laughter, this one ended in tragedy. So, what exactly went wrong? Let's talk mushrooms. Australia is home to one of the deadliest mushrooms in the world, the death cap. It looks ordinary, like something you might saute for pasta, but inside, pure poison. Just a small amount can destroy your liver. Most people die within days if they don't get a transplant. According to Erin, she used 2 kinds of mushrooms, some from the supermarket and some dried ones from an Asian grocery store. She even said her kids ate some of the leftovers the next day. But here's the kicker. She scraped the mushrooms off their portions. Why? She told police, "They don't like mushrooms." But that little detail made people raise their eyebrows. If she knew to scrape them off, Did she know what kind they were? Why take them out for the kids but not the adults? And it gets stranger. Investigators discovered a food dehydrator dumped at a nearby landfill. When they traced it back, it belonged to Erin. At first, she denied it, said she'd thrown it out months ago. Later, she admitted she'd lied, said she tossed it in a panic after the poisoning. Why panic? Because her ex-husband Simon had asked if she used it to prepare the mushrooms. That moment, that single lie, changed everything. Now, let's talk about Simon. This wasn't just a bitter ex. Simon had been hospitalized in May 2022 with what doctors called serious gut problems. He was in a medically induced coma for over 2 weeks, 3 surgeries, no explanation, just mystery illness. And now, prosecutors say that wasn't a mystery at all. Erin Patterson is facing 5 charges of attempted murder, 4 of which are tied to Simon. Alleged attempts that stretch back to 2021. One incident in Korumbura, another in Haukwa, one in Wilson's Promontory. A pattern according to the prosecution, a chilling timeline. And that brings us back to July 2023, the lunch. Police believe this wasn't just a tragic accident. They say it was murder. In November, Erin was arrested and charged. Her plea, not guilty. She says she loved those people, that she would never intentionally harm them, that she was devastated by what happened. So, who's telling the truth? Let's rewind just a bit. Erin was excluded from her former father-in-law's multi-million-dollar will. Not exactly a smoking gun, but motive. It's been floated. And while she claims to have bought the dried mushrooms from a shop, no one's been able to confirm that detail. Her foraging skills? Well documented. She was known locally for identifying wild mushrooms. Again, if anyone should have known the risk, it was her. And still, no clear motive has ever been confirmed. Now, here's what makes this whole case even more fascinating. Erin originally gave a no-comment interview to police, but then she released a handwritten statement to the media saying she was devastated, that she had absolutely no reason to hurt her family, that the deaths torn my heart out. She said she was scared and overwhelmed when she threw away the dehydrator, that she was just trying to make something special for people she cared about. But that statement didn't stop the headlines. The media went wild, dubbed her Australia's mushroom killer. Podcasts popped up, Reddit threads exploded, theories, conspiracies, people dissecting every move she made. She later told reporters she felt like she was being painted as an evil witch. And, yeah, some of the coverage was brutal. But when 3 people are dead and you're the only one who made the food, the questions are going to keep coming. The forensic evidence confirms death cap poisoning, liver damage, kidney failure, textbook symptoms. Experts say the odds of that being accidental are very, very slim. The food dehydrator, a key piece of the puzzle. Investigators believe it may have been used to dry or prepare the mushrooms in a way that concentrated the toxins, or maybe made them harder to detect. That, plus the timing of Simon's previous health scares, paints a pretty damning picture. But again, Erin has pleaded not guilty. Her legal team fast-tracked the trial, skipping the usual preliminary hearings. The trial is set for April 2025 in Morwell, and that trial, it's going to be massive. Dozens of witnesses, complex forensic evidence, a jury that will have to decide if this was a tragic mistake or a methodical, premeditated plan. And that's the thing about this case. It sits right on the edge of reason. Could it really be an accident? Or are we staring at one of the most shocking family murders in Australian history? Because this isn't about wild violence. It's quiet, domestic, intimate, a Sunday lunch, a familiar dish, a trusting smile, and then death. So, whether you believe Erin Patterson is a murderer, a scapegoat, or something in between, one thing's for sure: you'll never look at mushrooms the same way again. This story is far from over. The trial could change everything. If you want to keep following the twists, don't miss the next video popping up right now. It goes even deeper.